The Bucher says, when I finish yeshiva, I'm going to be a happy person. This one says, when I get married, when I find a shidduch, then I'll be happy. This one is, when this great Yeshua happens, then I'm going to relax. When this happens, then I'm going to start living. It's a normal hargish. We all understand it. Rabbi say, life happens always now. The Heilige Slonim Rebbe once said, Mitchila oivdei avodah zara hayu aveiseinu v'yachshav kaivani hamukam la'avodah, we say on the night of Pesach. And he explained, that's how you begin the whole Haggadah. Imagine you're getting married, beautiful, the chitten. He gets up at the Shabbat Brachas at the Ufruf. He says, Mitchila! You should just know the yichus. We come from the monkeys. V'achshav, we became civilized. We're fine chsiddush. I know Maschil beginners Messiah Mishmach. You're celebrating Yitzias Mitzrayim. Was sagst du Lashon Hara wegen der Seide Terach? A Yid once told me he believes in Darwinism, Yom Kippur. So that's why he can't come to hear me speak, because I believe in creation. I said, you're not coming to shul at all? He says, I'm coming for Yiske. I said, Yiske? You should go to Bronx Zoo for Yiske. Kijk to the Amos. Go to the ape. Shalom Aleichem, Moiri V'Rabbi Aleichem, Hashalom Yatav Adoylem, V'Shalom Tanichi. Zayde zijn de spallen van me. I should have a good year. Chaim shel chilatz atzumas. Mamash Chaim van a beheime gas. I should be a good ape. He's laughing. I say, why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? He says, it's funny, Rabbi Jacobson, you're funny. I said, you know why you're laughing? Because you deep down know that the ape is nicht ein alter Seite. Deep down you know you're a human being. Ken's kimmen in shul fayiske. It won't kill you. Your father won't kill you. Says the Heilige Slonim, you want Yitzias Mitzrayim? You know what the opening remark is? Yitzias Mitzrayim is going free. Going free. How? One philosophy. Mitchila is oivdei avodah zara. Achshav kevonu amokim la'avodah. There's two philosophies in life. One philosophy in life is mitchila. I'm always focusing on what happened. That's a philosophy of avodah zara. I'm a victim of everybody. And I'm always living. You know what she told me yesterday at the bar mitzvah? The nerve. You know what he told me at the Shabbat Brachas? The chitzpah. Gewollt mamash arme shikets met nuvel met tierach. Mamash gewollt a reis weifen from my shtub. My wife mamash had to hold me down. For 10 years you remember it. Met chila oivdeh, that's how we desire. Kevonu amokim, how do you know you have a shaykhis with the Rebbeinu Shalom? One word. V'achshav. There's something called now. Why? Zog the Heilige Baal Shem Tov. And it's the focus of the second section of Tanya, Sharichot Ve'emunah. That HaMechadish B'tivoi B'chol Yoim Tumet Maaseh Bereishis is not only B'chol Yoim. It's B'chol Rega V'Rega. Every moment Hashem recreates not only the universe, every detail of the universe. So if you want to be in touch with life, you have to be in touch with now. Because if I'm not in touch with now, I'm not in touch with the heartbeat of the Elikus. I'm not in touch with the heartbeat of creation. Who is the most important person in my life? The person I'm speaking to right now. That's always the most important person. What's the most important moment in my life? This moment is the most important moment in my life. Of course I remember yesterday. Of course I plan tomorrow. Of course I look forward to tomorrow. But if you want the oir chudur shal tziyoin toyev and niske v'mayre kilo l'oiroi. By the way, it's not Nusach Chabad. You have to have v'achshav, hamachadish. I'm going to tell you a maisa It's not a maisa, stam a maisa. Yerushalmi Masechta Peah. Listen to how maisa. This maisa can fill up 10 books of psychology. Listen to how maisa. Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish decide to go to the Beis HaMerchitz. They want Erev Shabbos Hashvitz mit HaMikveh. They go. Who's in front of the Beis HaMerchitz? A schnorrer. Yerushalmi Peah. It's not a chiddush of the 20th century. Steht. Chnosus Kala. Whatever he's asking for. A hinkadika, a blinda, you remember your maisa? Yeah? Yeah. Rabbi Yochanan get a kick off him, Rish Lakish get a kick. They want to get the Beis HaMerchitz. Mustama the Gabba in the Beis HaMerchitz was a strenge mensch. And they knew if they're going to come late, he's going to lock them out of the mikveh. You know, it is people that work in mikvehs. That's my interpretation. They're rushing. They tell the Yid, we're going into the Beis HaMerchitz. It's a chav vasher. We're going to bathe. We'll come out. We'll give you money. They walk in. They do whatever they have to do. They come out. Yerushalmi Peah, pay the ches. He's dead. What would you feel? What would you feel? The Yid was saying, Bissel tzedakah, give me something. Yeah, give me something. I could buy herring, I could buy a kichel, I could buy a piece of cake, I could buy cholent. It's all by the mikveh, you remember? It's the Pnai Yosef of Yerushalmi. Pnai Yitzchak, Pnai Yosef, whatever. You know who wrote the Pnai Yosef of Yerushalmi? Yeah? He's dead, he's dead. I want to know what you would do then. What would you do? What would most people do? Can't believe it. Go to therapy for 10 years. You go to every mekubal and every for a tikkun. Gruma, but you killed somebody. Right? The guilt. If Meiser spoke about the blame game, is that a blame game or what? Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish G'doylei Ador. You heard before about Rabbi Yochanan about Mitzvah Peidalet. G'doylei Ador indirectly just killed a Jew. But the Yerushalmi gives us different mice. Rish Lakish turned to Rabbi Yochanan, and you know what he told him? I quote, Lo yizachinu lechabdoi b'chayav, lechabdoi la'acham moisai. We missed an opportunity. We weren't zoicha. But you know, he needs something. He's a Jew. The neshama doesn't disappear. Somebody needs to do a tara. Somebody needs to give him tachrichin. There has to be a levaya. There has to be kvura. Who's going to do it? We weren't zoicha. We weren't zoicha to help him in his life. He needs something. They go to do the levaya for him. They take him to do the tara. They take off the clothes. What do they discover? In the tash, he had a huge sack of golden coins. He was richer than Rothschild. Also he the Pnai Yosef. He was richer than Rothschild with Buffett together. Warren Buffett together, the guy at the Buffett. That's the end of the story. Rabbi Isai explained to me the story. Did Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokish have to do tshuva? Of course. But if tshuva is turning you into an obsessed person, so then you're failing your responsibility now. Because I'm in a state of blaming, that's why you shouldn't have a levaya, you shouldn't have kvura. Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokish had the ability to ask themselves, HaMechadish b'tuvai, where is God now? What does Hashem want from me now? Now is my life. Now is my hatzlocha. Now is the peak of my moment. This is the moment. Because this is the moment when the whole creation is being renewed right now. Tomorrow is tomorrow. The next day is the next day. And I'm going to work for that day for hatzlocha. But now Now is now. And you know what happens when you do that? You realize 90% of the time you weren't as bad as you may have thought you were. You busy making a story that you killed somebody. This guy never had a crankshaft. He couldn't use his money. He could have bought himself cholent for 7 years. Ad hashnas hayoyv. He was never, he suffered from stinginess. A schreckliche Kampf. Tell you a mice I heard from an interesting Yid. Some of you heard the name, some of you probably not. He's a Jew, his name is Eliezer Wiesel. Eli Wiesel. Eli Wiesel grew up in Sighet as a Vishnitzer Chassid. He was sent to Auschwitz, lost most of his family, including his father. He became a Nobel Peace, he won the Nobel Prize for Peace. He always remained close with his childhood friend, Rabbi Jacobson. He's a Yid, I know him, he's a friend of my father, Olav Shalom. But it doesn't look like the classic Vishnitzer Chassid, let's put it that way. But he grew up with Chassidim, so he wrote a lot about Chassidim and Chassidus. Became a professor, a journalist, very famous writer. He stood up to Reagan when he went to Bitburg to visit the graves with the SS, Yimach Shemayim Niksarlei. He has a lot of schuyas that he did. He still fights strong for the Jewish people. He's an Alter Yid. I heard this Maisa from him. As a kid in Europe, whether it's a mashal or it's a Maisa, is nicht as a negeya. The word is not negeya. So a young man, I'm a vakish. You know what I'm a vakish is? Searching. What is he searching for? Why did God create the world? Was hat gefällt? I knew a shikr, lived in my neighborhood. He would drink all day. They called him Zalman the Shikr. On Eastern Parkway, he was a regular. Mamash a shikr. Begin of light. But he had eisene Werte. He once called him, he says, a B'Yosef Yitzchak. You want to know about life? The first pasuk. But Aisha's bottle of Kimas Hashmaim Vesaret, what does Rashi right away say? Omer Yitzchak, loy hayot tzarech. Not a shikr ken as they had. There was really no need for it. Loy hayot tzarech was nish kedaf. This young man went around searching, why did Hashem create the world? And he went to every Ruv, every Dayan, every Tzaddik, every Rebbe, every Mekubal, every Rosh Yeshiva, every philosopher, every theologian, every scholar, every genius, every author. Why? I need to understand why. I can't sleep. For years he went, nobody could give him an answer. This one gave this, stupid answers. Finally he came to a Chacham Gadol b'moed HaChoshev Rebbe. Yes, it was says. Walks in, he says, Rebbe, I've been searching for years. They say you're the man. You know everything. Frag mein Kind, Shal, what's your question? Why did he create a world? Crazy Meshugana, verhackte, verschlobbete, verschalvete Welt. Welt is gedacht. Why? The Rebbe took a look at him, gave him a slap in the face. Says, this I never heard. This sentence I never heard. He says, you want me to answer you? You want me to answer you? He says, yeah. He says, never! He says, why not? Why ruin such a good question with a stupid answer? Then he looked at him and he says, it's the answers to this question that divide us. It's the questions that unite us. It's the questions that unite us. Says Reb Nachman. Reb Nachman of Breslov and Likutei Moharan. You heard today the Chazan of Musaf at the Geshrei gegeben, and that's when I remember this word. I remember the word. Mishars of Shoyal im Zelazeh. What? Aye mekayim kvoid. Und er hat gegeben ein Geschrei mit den ganzen Chayes von der Gdishus ziehen. Ayei, me koin kvod. Taitch Reb Nachman, shoyalim doesn't always mean ask. You know what shoyalim means? They borrow. Meshars of shoyalim zelazah. And you know what they borrow from each other? The hergish. As ayei, me koin kvod. The question, ayei, that is where he is. The question, ayei, where are you? Me koin kvod, that's where he is. The question is sometimes bringing us to a place that's far deeper and far truer than the answer. To quote the Balatanya L'Kutei Torah Parshas Pekudei, I can't only do Breslov and Slonim, right? Listen to what he says. It's not Yediyas HaChiyuv, it's not Yediyas HaShlila. Quoting the Bar Nevuch. Yediyas HaChiyuv means I know who Hashem is. Yediyas HaShlila means I don't know anything. I am a kumkvoid. Yediyas HaShlila means I know Shlila. I don't know. Balatanya says Yediyas HaChiyuv can relate to a nakuda of elikus that is very limited. Yediyas HaShlila, that touches a far more truer place in God. What he calls Soiv of Kalalman, the infinite, the Ein Soif. Ayeh, in the Ayeh, is sometimes the deepest Mekayim Kvoidai. The question, we can't ruin by the answer. Some of you today were asking, why? Well, certainly I'm not the one to give ever an answer to this. But all I could say is that sometimes in the question, you touch Mekayim Kvoidai in a very deep place. The two brothers, the Halakha Rebbe, the B'zishn Rebbe, Reb Melech, were wandering in Golus. Somebody informed upon them to the police. They threw them into prison. There was no bathroom. There was a bucket in the corner for people's needs. So you can understand the matzav hagashmi. Reb Melech wakes up in the morning, he's crying. Reb Zusha says, why are you crying? He says, I can't daven. The reyach hira, the terrible odor of what it was filled with from the people, he couldn't daven. Reb Zusha says, so why are you crying? He says, the first time since I'm a child, I'm not davening. So Reb Zusha says, okay, so you won't daven. Why are you crying? Melech says, how can I start my day without davening? I need a daven. When I daven, I connect to my pnimiyas, to my neshama, to my etzah. When I daven, I connect to the essence of life, to the core, to chei ha'elamim, tzur ha'elam. Then I can go on with the day. If I don't daven, I'm fragmented, I'm scattered, I'm alienated. There's no dveikus. I need dveikus with the emes, with the pnimiyas of life, with Hashem. The B'zusha says, there's no dveikus? Really? There's no dveikus? The Zelber Rebbeinu Shalom who said you should daven says in Shulchan Aruch that if there's a reyach rab, there's a bad smell, you're not allowed to daven. Today, you won't daven. By not davening, you'll fulfill Ratzon Hashem. You'll fulfill Ratzon Hashem. That's dveikus. Today, you'll become davuk in the emes through not davening. Instead of crying, he starts singing. Two chassidim, in 5 minutes, they were dancing. This the position of Melech, the goyim see two Yidden dancing, they join. In 10 minutes, he had some Torah and Purim. The prison warden, the Shomer, he is Metans Lebedik. He walks in, Kazatskis. You could think he had a chasana. Doesn't like it's a prison. Calls over one of the goyim, one of the Gentiles. Why are they dancing? What's the dance? As usual, he says, the Jews are guilty. Or who's guilty? Not the Jews. He says, why are they dancing? What's there to dance? He says, I don't know. It's just deep things. He says, tell me why they're dancing or I'll kill you. He points to the bucket in the corner. They're dancing for that bucket? He says, yeah. What's the simcha? Explain to me the simcha. He says, they said to us that as a result of that bucket, They developed a new type of relationship with God. Really? What do you mean? Says they say there was a pre-bucket relationship and a post-bucket relationship. Before the bucket, that's one hashkaf in the relationship. Exactly. Thank you. This is the das Rabbi Isai. Rabbi Isai. Exactly. After the bucket, it's a whole new hashkaf asylum. The prison warden says, really? I'm gonna teach these miserable people a lesson. You know what he does? Picks up the bucket. It's for 2 hours, I'm throwing it out. Throws it out. Zusha turns to the melech and says, Bride, jetzt kannst du davenen. My brother, now you can daven. Chassidim explained a very deep part in the story. Not Tamamais. What the Zusha was telling the melech is, Aye is oich mekayim kvaydai. You're always in a relationship. Sometimes the relationship is that you should daven. And sometimes Hashem says, and He says, today the relationship is a different relationship. It's through not davening. But now is the relationship. Now I'm alive. Now I'm productive. Now I'm successful. Sagt Reb Chaim Shmulevich Zatzal, the Rosh Hashiva of Mir, a chassidische Wort. You'll soon see a chassidische Wort. I heard somebody say it over from Sichas Musar. I told him you didn't chap the word, you never learned chassidus. If you would have learned, you would have chapped the word. You didn't chap what he was saying. He thought it was another chalois. Basically, somebody says in Bris, there was a briskus, he was saying it was a pilpul in Gitten, in Hilchas Gitten. He says, Wie verstehst du wegen dem, du bist doch ein Gorush? He says, ich bin nicht kein Gorush, ich bin am Gadish. Okay, inside joke. If you spent 9 years in Bris, you'll get it. Here's Reb Chaim Shmulevich, listen to this. You said God. Gemara in Shabbos, Lamed Aleph. Rabbi Yossi says, if you demolish a building on Shabbos, you take off a brick on Shabbos, you're only liable min ha-Torah if Soiser al-Menas livnus b'mkaimai. If you're taking off the brick to make renovation in this place, you're going to rebuild it in this place. If not, you're not chayiv. Frag the Gemara, all the malachas of Shabbos we learned from the Mishkan. When they took apart the Mishkan, they would rebuild it in the same place? No. They would go somewhere else and rebuild it. So why you chayiv on Shabbos only if you rebuild it in the same place? The Mishkan you brought somewhere else. Zog the Gemara, I quote, Kivan dal pi Hashem yisu val pi Hashem yachanu k'mekoim oidami. Because they were traveling based on GPS, God's positioning system. So therefore it's k'mekoim oidami. It's like they're in the same place. Ask Rabbeinu Chananel and everyone, why? Just because Hashem is telling me, go from Stamford, Connecticut to Muncie, to Williamsburg. So it's Kimekayimai Dami. Why is it Kimekayimai? They went 42 Masayas, it's not Kimekayimai. It's another place. Hashem said, go from here to there. Why is it Kimekayimai? Zok Reb Chaim Shmulevich, open your hearts. He says, imagine I'm going to give my illustration. You decide you're taking your wife, it was such a gewaldige Shabbos, you're taking your wife away for 4 days, and because you have an imagination, too much, so it's not just a trip to where she wants. It's a trip, mamish kola olam kuloi, says Reb Chaim Shmulevich. Mamish kola olam kuloi. So you go, from here you go to Los Angeles, from Los Angeles you go to Chicago, from Chicago you go to Honolulu, from Honolulu you go to London, from London to Moscow, from Moscow to Tel Aviv, from Tel Aviv you go to Sydney, Australia, then to New Zealand, and then you come back to JFK Airport, JFK just for the Kiddush. Every place, a behola, the luggage, passport control, Customs, taxis, hotels, unpack. This flight is delayed. It's bilbul ayotzes, but you travel the world and you need passport, you show you wherever you are. Here's Rabbi Chaim Shmulevich, he says, a dugma you'll be moichel, but I want to illustrate, you should understand. He says, what happens if this is a couple, and the Rebbeinu Shalom bless them with a baby, and they take the baby on all these trips. And you look to the baby and you ask the baby, where were you for the last week? Where were you? Hawaii, London, Paris, Tel Aviv, Moscow, Sydney, New Zealand, JFK, Los Angeles. If it could speak, you know what it's going to tell you? I was in one place. I was in my mother's arms. My mother went everywhere. Ich weiß nicht where she went. Lines, luggage, passports, taxis, hotels, delays. Slept in the airports, Bahamas. They call it vacation in America. Like vacation. My man's vacation, my couch, my bed, my sefer. You asked the baby, where were you? I was in my mother's arms. Kivon dal pi Hashem Yisuv al pi Hashem Yachanu kimekoi moidomi. They went all over the place, but they felt they were in the Shekhinah's arms, they were in their mother's arms. They were in the same place. How do you live with now? Living with now doesn't mean my life is perfect and it's boring. You're going to a doctor, you're coming from a doctor. Here's a treatment, here's another treatment. This worked, this didn't work. It's a roller coaster. I was giving this lecture in Muncie a few weeks ago. Why is my life a roller coaster? I meet a Yid in the street, says, Rabbi, ich kim nicht. I'm not coming. I say, why not? Why not? It's a chutzpah, your title. So what's wrong? He says, my life is not a roller coaster, it's straight down. Living with the now doesn't mean I look in front of the mirror and I say, hey, we think it's perfect. Life is a roller coaster. But you know what? I'm going up. I'm going down. So that I'm going straight down, at least I'm feeling. I'm in my mother's arms. I'm always in the same place. Of course I'm not in the same place. Of course there's moments of confidence and moments of suffering. Moments of yiush and moments of aye. Up and down, right and left. And sometimes you're twirling around, you feel